we've been talking about the making of right-wing hegemony at various points, and now maybe we could look at the flip side of it, specifically the disaffection in this past election of a lot of people from the Democratic base, because we can both tell the story of how the Republicans won the election, but we can also tell a story about how the Democrats lost it. So if you could speak to that briefly, that would be great. But then also a kind of more general question, perhaps. What do centrist liberals not get about the right? Mm-hmm. And related to that, and you just spoke to this a second ago, what does the left not get about the right in your view?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was the first question again?
The first question was about the disaffection of the Democratic base, which then will lead to the kind of more general question of like, what are liberal centrists not getting about the right, such that this disaffection could happen in the first place?
So it's not only what they do wrong, but what they do not see.
Yeah, what they don't see, yeah. I think, it's easy. People love to project onto election results their pet theory of what happened, right? Everybody does it. Liberals do it, leftists do it, everyone has their story. And the problem is there's no way to really do that, accurately, because what you have is an aggregation of hundreds of thousands or millions of individual decisions that get made, right? And they get made in 1,000 different ways, even in the head of any one individual, about why they're going to vote the way they do. Plenty of people weren't paying attention until the last minute. Plenty of people, voted in a way that they probably weren't necessarily deeply connected to or committed to as a politics. Maybe it was, for some people, it was about inflation or egg prices, or just kind of a general frustration with the Democrats, or a disliking of Biden, or a disliking of Harris. For some smaller portion, it was Palestine. I think it's very easy to overstate that. But really, it's like I think the question is not really, in some ways, not a straight-ahead question about how Republicans won or how Democrats lost. But the question it does leave is, what didn't the Democrats do to provide a substantive vision that could compete with the Republican Party? I mean, it's also true that Republicans have a lot of advantages in terms of control of a media space, which seems to have mattered quite a bit. So in Pennsylvania, for instance, Democrats had an extraordinary ground game. This door-knocking campaign, this street by street canvassing, and a very complex operation that involved thousands and thousands of volunteers who were fanning out across that state from Philly to the foothills of the Appalachians, doing this kind of door-to-door work. Republicans did none of that, and they won Pennsylvania anyway. And Pennsylvania is not a given that it's a Republican state. So partly what that shows is that in that context, the media space really was, is people say you can't win elections on media, but really, you probably partly can, right? Between Fox News all the way rightward into, really richly, algorithmically enhanced, conspiracy theories. There is, that makes it difficult for, for Democrats in that situation. But nevertheless, even so, what Democrats have not offered a substantive response to the crises that we're in. And so this is a problem at different levels, right? So Democrats are forced to, and liberals and even people on the left, we're forced to defend institutions that are no longer viable institutions. The institutions of liberal democracy cannot confront the crises, the multiple crises, or polycrisis, as some people like to say, that we now are faced with. The Congress can't do it. The courts can't do it. The executive branch pings back and forth between 1,000 executive orders this way and then 1,000 executive orders that way. State legislatures can't deal with it. This court system can't deal with it at the state level or the national level. There are the federal bureaucracy can't deal with it. The crises of capital and of ecological collapse and of artificial intelligence and social media, and on and on and on and on. These are not things that are in a terribly unequal society that's becoming more unequal all the time. These institutions can't manage it, right? But Democrats are the ones kind of like left kind of defending these institutions, while Republicans are the insurgents against them. There is extraordinary political energy and vision on the right at a dense intellectual level as well as at an affective level in terms of offering alternative fantasy worlds of like what life could look like that provide meaning, that allow you the incredible pleasurable feelings of anger and grievance. Those are deep psychological pleasures, right? And the idea of what fun it is to be a conqueror, and they have all of American history's worst elements of patriarchy and white supremacy to draw on to make that case. So the left liberals and the left are in a very difficult position in regard to that, I think. And so there's no easy answer, particularly because we also we have a Democratic Party that is, as I said earlier, not open to its left-wing insurgent base or insurgent elements of a base that's donor controlled, that's elitist, which is top down and unwilling to shift or move. We saw it happen twice with Sanders. It just will not allow insurgent candidacies, will not allow very popular opposition to free market capitalism. So the Democratic Party itself is not an institution that can do this work for us now. So that puts us in a very difficult position vis-a-vis the growth of American fascism. Now that the Republican Party is controlled trunk to tail by fascist elements, from the county level all the way up to the White House. So I don't have good answers to that, but I think that's would be my diagnosis of where we stand at this moment.